Wait, which one's the new Watch 6 again?
This one, madam.
Oh, okay. Oh, I know this one. This is the new Watch 6 Classic, right?
Yep.
But it's so similar to the 2-year-old Watch 4 Classic. So what's actually different this time? Okay, so Samsung dropped the new Galaxy Watch 6 series a few weeks ago, and much to my delight and most of the community, Samsung has been gracious enough to bring back the physical rotating bezel to the Watch 6 Classic this time. That's great, but other than that, the Watch 6 series is once again a very iterative upgrade, and this has been the story with Samsung's last few generations of smartwatches actually. Matter of fact, except for a few things here and there, the Watch 6 series is frustratingly similar to the Watch 5 series and even the Watch 4 series from back in 2021, which is currently available at much discounted prices. So that made me wonder, are Samsung's latest smartwatches really worth it, or should you save some money and get the older ones instead? To figure that out, I've been testing the Watch 6 Classic and the Watch 4 Classic side by side, while one of my teammates has been helping me with the regular Galaxy Watch 6 and the Watch 4. So almost a month later, here is what we have found out. Alright, to keep things simple, I'll mostly be talking about the classic watches throughout this review, but let me just give you a brief rundown of what's new and what's changed with the Galaxy Watch 6. So the biggest difference you'll find here is obviously in terms of the display. Even though it's available in the same 40 and 44mm case, the thinner bezels on the Watch 6 means that Samsung has managed to fit in a slightly larger display now. It also enjoys bigger batteries, a bit faster processor, a bit more memory, and that's pretty much it on the hardware front. Whereas on the software side of things, it's mostly the new WearOS 4 that's working the magic. But since Samsung has already begun rolling out this update to the Watch 4 and Watch 5 lineup, it's not that big a deal if you ask me. Okay, getting to the Watch 6 Classic, that whole trimming down the bezel thing can be seen here as well. Compared to the 2-year-old Watch 4 Classic, Samsung says its rotating bezel is now 15% slimmer, and I'm also really digging this cleaner look overall. And I guess I don't need to talk about why people love this rotating bezel so much, right? From keeping the screen smudge-free to just pure unadulterated joy it offers, this rotating bezel is superior to its digital alternative in every single way. But yeah, this 47mm Watch 6 Classic definitely feels a bit too big for my wrist, no doubt on that. Fun fact, this is also the biggest watch Samsung has ever made. So to everyone else who is on the same boat as me, I'd suggest you get the smaller 43mm option instead. The other thing that's different this time around is the strap mechanism. Here, the default ones have this one-click mechanism which makes putting it on or taking it off just a little easier. I was honestly hoping for a debuckle strap as the default option here, like the one on last year's Watch 5 Pro, although this classic pin buckle band is perfectly fine too. And of course, durability is never going to be a concern with either of these smartwatches. Both of them bring a stainless steel frame and all the ingress protection and durability certifications in the world, so yeah. Well, are there any exciting changes on the display front then? Yes, on paper, but as my team and I have discovered, some of them don't really translate that well in terms of actual day-to-day usage. For example, the Watch 6 Classic's display can literally hit double the brightness of its predecessor at 2000 nits, but that does not mean the Watch 4 Classic is horrible to look at under direct sun or anything. And 1000 nits is plenty enough for comfortable outdoor visibility. I will say that the larger display on the Watch 6 Classic makes interacting with this thing somewhat simpler. The larger text, larger icons, and the larger UI elements in general are certainly a plus when it comes to readability. Likewise, if you're someone who's always bumping into stuff or just somewhat clumsy overall, then the sapphire crystal glass on this guy is also going to be more reassuring versus the Watch 4 Classic's Gorilla Glass DX. Okay, so all this is great, but performance is where I was hoping for the biggest upgrade this time. As I mentioned in my Galaxy Watch 5 review, the Exynos W920 was a decent performer, but it was always missing that flagship beat that you would expect. Unfortunately, the new Exynos W930 chip on the Watch 6 series with slightly higher clock speeds and half a gig of extra RAM does nothing too revolutionary to address my issues. Samsung is promising around 18% faster performance with this new setup, and it gets me through my everyday use just fine, but the occasional bits of delays is not something I want to see on such a premium smartwatch. And I don't mean to discourage competition or anything. Competition is always good for us consumers, but I really think Samsung should be adopting Qualcomm's wearable chips until it can come up with a solid solution in-house. I recently reviewed Mobvoi TicWatch Pro 5 with the latest Snapdragon W5 Plus Gen 1 chip, and I can't help but think how awesome it would have been on the Galaxy Watch 6 series. At least Samsung has a very strong command of the software side of things, so not all is lost. In fact, Samsung Watch 6 and the Watch 6 Classic are the very first in the line to ship with the newer WearOS 4 platform. Even Google's own Pixel Watch is yet to taste the WearOS 4, whereas Samsung has already begun updating its last 2 generations of smartwatches with the latest software. I've already got it on my Watch 5 Pro, but it seems it's going to take some time before it arrives on my Watch 4 Classic as well. Either way, WearOS 4 with Samsung's latest One UI 5 Watch skin on top does not bring any major UI overhaul, and that's totally fine. The overall UI design feels a bit more bubblier and somewhat more organized than it used to. There are a couple of tiles, aka widgets, while some of the older ones hold more information now, and there are a couple of quality of life upgrades peppered in, including the ability to seamlessly switch between phones without resetting the watch. I'm not sure just how much useful most people are going to find this, but as someone who shifts phone quite frequently, this is going to save me a lot of time. There's also the promise of better battery backup with the WearOS 4, but I'm not sure if it's that or the fact that the Watch 6 series brings roughly 20% larger battery, or a combination of both, but the Watch 6 Classic is definitely a battery champ among the two. I've kept all the settings exactly the same between the two, like all-day heart rate and stress monitoring, SpO2 measurement overnight, and everything else. And with all this, the Watch 6 Classic has been lasting me almost 2 days, while its Watch 4 sibling dies within a day and a half on average. Whereas on days with heavy GPS and Wi-Fi usage, I was still getting 25 to 30 hours of juice on the Watch 6 Classic compared to the Watch 4 Classic that would nearly die on me by late evening. Starting with last year's Watch 5 series, Samsung smartwatches fill up much faster too, from 5 watt on the Watch 4 to 10 watts, so this guy can even get around 50% with just 30 minutes of charge. Perfect to get you through the day or night. And oh, that reminds me, the Watch 6 Classic's battery backup is actually a little more impressive because it is also tracking my skin temperature overnight. Yes, an infrared temperature sensor was also something that Samsung introduced with the Watch 5 series, but for the longest time, it remained useless since Samsung could not get the regulatory approval in time. Anyway, with the temperature sensor finally up and running, the Watch 6 Classic sleep tracking is considerably more robust versus the Watch 4 Classic. You can even install third-party apps like Thermal Check to measure the temperature of everything from the water in the swimming pool to your Batarang replica, just for the fun of it. Okay, without going too much into detail, the reason why this temperature sensor is such a big deal is because the trend of your skin temperature throughout the night can actually be a pretty good indicator of your sleep quality, eating, exercising habits, and menstrual cycles. Other than this, Samsung's sleep stage algorithm feels a bit more refined as well. While both of these guys get my time to bed and the time I get up fairly accurately, I feel like the Watch 6 Classic's distribution of my sleep stages is noticeably more accurate. It also gets an advanced sleep coaching option to help you develop good sleeping habits, although that's part of the new WearOS 4 update, so the Watch 4 Classic is not missing out on anything either. Apart from the temperature sensor, these two smartwatches have an identical sensor setup, so it's no surprise that I've been getting very similar heart rate, stress, and body composition readings from both of them. The Watch 6 Classic can now monitor irregular heart rhythm, aka AFib, in the background too, but things like ECG and blood pressure still don't work on my part of the world, so it's pretty much a nothing burger for me. Alright, getting to fitness tracking, these Classic Duo can record over 90 different exercise modes. I was also hoping Samsung would bring Watch 5 Pro's ability to import map routes on this guy too, but it seems like that's something reserved for the Pro model only. Neither do you get L1 and L5 dual frequency GPS on Watch 6 Classic, so location tracking can still be a hit or a miss when you're in a fairly dense area with a lot of tall buildings, trees, or other physical infrastructures. At least WearOS 4 makes starting a workout with GPS locked in easier by letting you manually start the workout instead of the default 3, 2, 1 countdown. WearOS 4 also enables personalized heart rate zones for more effective workouts here, and it works perfectly fine. Anyways, I'm getting similar readings on my workouts from these two, be it pace, steps taken, or the heart rate zones itself. But one thing I noticed is that the Watch 6 Classic is a little slow at automatically pausing the workout when I've come to a halt. So I'm hoping this gets sorted out with an update pretty soon. So yeah, overall, the Galaxy Watch 6 Classic is a solid flagship smartwatch that makes sense for most Android users, considering how most of its competition, like the Pixel Watch, the TicWatch Pro 5, or the Fossil Gen 6 don't offer nearly as balanced combo of stylish design, durable build, and reliable health tracking and fitness tracking abilities. And it especially makes sense to those with a Samsung Galaxy phone because, of course, Samsung had to give into the whole ecosystem thing by limiting a few features to its brand of smartphones. But piggybacking on what I said in the very beginning of the video, this is an incredibly iterative upgrade with not much of a wow factor compared to the couple of older Galaxy smartwatches. And the inflation has hit Samsung too, which is why the Watch 6 Classic is slightly more expensive than its predecessors. On the contrary, you can find the Watch 4 Classic, which is not much different from its successor as we've discovered, at less than half the price, thus making it an excellent value. So if you don't care about the latest hardware or relatively longer software updates, then you can't go wrong with this thing. It still offers every bit of a premium smartwatch experience while going easy on your wallet as well. So everybody, that was all for my extremely comprehensive review of the Samsung Galaxy Watch 6 Classic. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that bell icon. Till then, I'm Pratima Adhikari, and thank you so much for watching.